Morning. Whew, it's a lovely day today. The rains have stopped, the sun's come out, the temperatures have come up a bit. So what I'm doing today is, in this raised bed in my garden, I'm going to be planting some peas that have been growing in my greenhouse for several weeks now. So let me just prepare this bed and then I'll show you the peas and we'll talk about what I'm going to do with them today. So these peas, these are Kelvin and Wonder, and they're an early pea, and these were planted about 3 weeks ago. So as you can see, they've broke through, they're coming up, looking great. These peas have been sown a little bit earlier, and these were sown early February, so that's about 6 weeks ago now. And these pretty soon are ready to go in the ground. So the peas in here, you can see them, they really need to be in the ground. They're needing some support now, when it's difficult to support them if they're sitting in these little cell trays. So these are an early pea called Douce Provence, and they were sown mid-January. Well, we're now in mid-March, and it's definitely time to get them in the ground. The sun's shining, it's warming up a little bit. Still a chance of frost because my frost date here is very late March, which is a couple of weeks away, but I'm going to take a chance and I'll probably put a cover on them for a couple of weeks just to keep them protected. But let's get them in the ground, let's get them staked up, and let's see if we can get these little chaps growing away, shall we? What I'm going to do is I'm going to dig a small trench, a little row, just dig it out a bit like this, because the soil is really nice soil. It's nice and soft, and I'm going to start to plant some of these peas into this trench here. Now normally if it was a bit dry I would water this trench, but it's been quite a lot of rain has come down, so I don't think there's any need to do it at the moment. Let me take this out of here, put that to one side, and get some of these peas out of these cells. There we are. And as you can see, the roots are starting to wind their way around the bottom of the cell, so it's definitely time to get them into the ground. So let's start this in, and we'll just pop them in like that, and I will lay them over. Again, untangle them, be very careful to untangle them, and the roots, as you can see again, there's a lot of roots in there. It's definitely time to plant these out. So I shall lay them down in the row, and the reason I like planting early peas in these cells is, as I've mentioned in a previous video, which I'll put a link to at the top of this page. The reason I like growing peas in these cells is I can place them exactly where I want them, and also by growing them in these cells I avoid the birds and the mice trying to dig them up, and the slugs trying to eat them when they're smaller, and they got a much better chance of making it to mature grown plants than if I think if I planted them straight in the ground out here in the garden. So let me carry on putting these in, and I'll show you what I do when I've got a complete row in. There, so there we are, one row of peas grown in cells earlier on in the year in mid-January, now planted out one lovely row. What I'll do now is I will backfill the soil, firm it down a little, and then I shall give this a little water in just to settle this soil around the roots. And then we need to look at staking them up somehow, giving them something to cling to and to grow up. Yeah. There we are. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. Great. They're now in the ground and they're probably going to sulk for a week or so before those roots start to find their way into the soil and pick up all the nutrients and the water, and then they'll start to grow. And when they start to grow, they're needing some support. Now you can use lots of different things for support. You can use some canes with some twine, or you could use some sticks just planted in among them. What I like to use is these. These are shelving from a mini greenhouse. And I find they're ideal because the little tendrils of these peas can grab onto these and pull their way up. And I support these with a little stick, little cane, and it seems to work very well for me. So let me show you how I do that. Now, as you can see, 3 canes, 1, 2, 3, and the shelving units are simply attached to the canes. And the canes are fed through the little holes in each part of the racking, and I shall now lean these peas up against this racking, probably with a bit of twine around, and they will start to grab onto the racking with the little tendrils, and they'll start to climb up that. And when they get up above that level, I shall tie some strings from there and there to there, and round and back, and round and back, and they'll climb their way up there quite happily. Now, as they're a Douce Provence pea and an early pea, they don't grow very high. I think they'll probably just get up to the level of the top of these sticks, to be honest, with the top of these canes rather, and that's about as high as they'll get. So let me get these peas up against this rack, this support, and let's see if we can get them to start growing now. Okay, let's pop some of these on, the eye protectors. There we go, 1, 2, and my recycled one on there. And there we are. We just need to leave these guys now to do their thing. Brilliant. 1 row of peas planted in my raised bed in the garden, all supported and all ready to kick on and start growing and give me some fantastic peas, hopefully in the early summer. Now, these ones will be going out in a few weeks, and these ones on this side, which are obviously a little less mature than these will begin to grow, obviously. And every week I've been sowing some more, and I've got some more peas sown here. They've not come through yet, but as soon as they come through, I shall sow another tray and then another tray, and hopefully I'll get peas over a longer period, which is going to be fantastic, hopefully. Now, the thing to remember with peas is you will need to be looking after them. They are quite a shallow rooted plant and they don't absorb water very well, so you're going to need to keep an eye on them, particularly if it's hot. If the weather turns hot, you really need to be getting some water on those peas. Last year I grew some wonderful peas. We hit a hot period, I just couldn't keep up with the watering on the allotment, and unfortunately I lost most of them. However, this is a different year and we'll give it another go. So, peas, 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 and I'm very pleased. If you've watched one of my previous videos, and I think I can put a link to it up here, we looked at sowing peas in gutters, and these are those peas, and they're coming on. And I don't think it'll be very long before they can actually go out, and that'll be another row out in that raised beds with the other peas. So in the next few weeks I'll show you how I get on putting these out. If I can get them to slide out of the gutter, that'll be great. And also how I plant the other peas out. So that's it. Peas in raised beds. Sorted.